Food for Thought with Professor David Dete.
Welcome to Food for Thought with Professor Dete. Thank you so much for tuning in. OCD, Obsessive Compulsive Disorder. We began this conversation a couple of weeks ago, and it is one of those conditions that is very interesting. And the information the professor is giving us is very vital, because one of the things I've realized with some of these mental health issues is we have friends and family who may be going through them, and even they themselves may not know that they're going through them. So this information is equipping us to be able to know and to be able to offer help to those in need. So let's pick up this conversation from where we left it off last week. So what happens to those people who have those thoughts that are so evil and so dark? Like you said, the baby who looks at the mother who looks at the baby and wants to kill the baby. You know, those are not things you'd want to share with anybody, because they would think you're crazy. Yes, you're crazy. What's wrong with you?
Yes.
So what does that do to their mind? How do you contain all those thoughts? I mean, what is happening here?
It is tormenting to them.
Ooh.
And what people, I say it's not very common, but if you have that kind of thought, please, it's not your fault. Yeah, that's the starting point.
Yeah.
Share it with somebody. Share it with a friend. Share it with a family member. Share it with a pastor. And when I was looking at the data at the kids who try to commit suicide and they want to talk to somebody, you know the people they go and prefer talking to?
Who?
Pastors.
Oh.
So good for you.
Good for us.
Yeah, good for you. You have a big role to play.
We had better be well equipped.
You had better be well equipped.
Yes.
Yeah, so then when these students come to you, then you know how to handle. Because out of their choice, they come to the pastor. They really go to the teachers.
Yes.
They go to the teachers, but their preferred person
is a pastor.
Yeah, and maybe the mother. And maybe not the father.
Fathers, we have work to do. We have work to do.
Yeah.
Can these thoughts be of a sexual nature as well? And do people with this condition sometimes actualize those thoughts?
They can actualize those thoughts in the very extreme. You see, it does not mean we are talking about two conditions: obsessive and compulsive.
Yes.
It starts here and it stays there. But then sometime it will be translated into action. This doctor thought in their minds, did I actually lock? No, I don't think I locked. Let me go and check. Write down, am I the one who wrote this?
Yes.
Am I sure that it's all in their head? Okay?
Wow.
But then you will find the expression in opening and closing the door, banging it. So what starts in the mind can stay in the mind, but sometimes it
spills over.
It can spill over.
No, I'm just thinking, Professor, if I was to meet somebody like that who's waking up and closing the door, waking up and closing the door, waking up, closing the door, writing a note to himself, doubting that he's the one who wrote it, I would think this man is crazy. Yes. What is wrong with you?
Yes.
Get yourself together, because I don't have the understanding that you're now giving me. Yeah, I would even wonder, are you possessed?
Yes, this is where we need to talk to pastors. Let me have an understanding of what you do, and please also have an understanding of what we do.
Yes.
Because one of the problems, and I'm talking to the pastors now, one of the problems is that we tend to spiritualize everything, including physical condition and more so mental conditions. And I want to say mental conditions are medical problems. We understand the biochemical changes in the brain. I can never ignore the importance of the other people who are working with me. And if I, as a medical person and as a scientist, I say, this is my only explanation for that, and I don't want to listen to you, then we have a problem. I had a patient who came to see me some time back, very, very upset. because she had gone to see somebody, and she had this chronic problem, and she said she wanted to pray, and she's praying about it, and the therapist said, what are you praying about? This God of yours, all this time he has never cured you, what are you praying? And that she was very, very upset.
I can imagine.
Very upsetting. Yeah? So please, let us not attack one another. Of course, there will be differences, but the differences are not, the differences are on how you see things and how you explain things.
Yeah.
But these differences cannot be 100% differences that separate us. There are certain things that are common. Can we start working together? And we have shown and that working with the pastors in terms of mental illness, recognition, mental disorder, they make very good diagnosis, by the way. And if they cannot manage it, they also know that there is also another way of managing it. And is it possible then to work with somebody who has got those skills for the benefit of the patient?
There are some people who like their things done in a particular order, and they can get really fussy. I'm just curious whether that's a form of what we are talking about. There are people, their clothes have to be arranged like this. I remember once having a conversation with the husband and wife, and the wife was saying, my husband is so meticulous. If you come on his side of the wardrobe, things have to be in color code. You know, you don't mix long-sleeved shirts with short-sleeved shirts. You don't. And the wife was saying, me, it's too much. For me, as long as it's on a hanger and it's in the wardrobe, I don't care what order it is. So I'm just wondering, is
that's what it is in a different way. It presents. This is why I said at the very beginning, to try to list down the possible ways in which these conditions
can
manifest or show is like trying to list down all the human activities by different people and try to compartmentalize them. It cannot happen. So what we are looking for is this element of repeating, want to do things in a particular way, and you are stuck to that, and you don't even want to change. And if people want to, if they don't do what you suggest, or see things the way you see them, or arrange things the way you want them arranged, it causes conflict. Actually, the people who get hurt most are the people who live with those people, because they are getting exposed to these things all the time.
Wow.
And they see it. They see those subtle things like this housewife was seeing, which other people would not see. Because people who do not go to the wardrobe.
Definitely.
It's only her who would know those things, and not us, not even the children. Yeah. So it's only the wife who would know these things.
Wow.
Yeah.
At what point should somebody seek professional help?
That's a very good question. And it's also a good question because they are not easy to manage. Okay. And Sir Isaac Marx, when you were training, I could see his frustration because he was working in a clinic that was dealing with anxiety disorders. And remember, I started by saying we used to think that it was an anxiety disorder. So this man was getting referrals from all over UK because he was the expert on that time. And of course, he used to we used to he teach us how to manage those things. And he would say he would sometimes prescribe a rubber band.
Okay.
The one you put in your hand.
Yeah.
And say, if you get this thought, just pull that rubber band and snap.
Snap yourself back to...
snap yourself to kind of normal thinking. Yeah? And then we began to realize that this condition of obsessive compulsive disorder was not responding to drugs that were normally prescribed for people with anxiety. They were not responding to it. In fact, they were responding to a certain type of antidepressant, but not all the antidepressants. I think that time they used to have a medicine called anafranilclomipramine. We knew that kind of antidepressant works in a very different way from other types of antidepressants. So it was like it was focusing on a different pathway of those chemicals, which was different from other types of depression.
Yes.
And we knew that the patients he put on this medicine would improve about 30%. And then we realized that obsessive compulsive disorder tends to coexist with the depression.
Okay.
The question was this depression as a result of the obsessive compulsive disorder, or were two distinct conditions occurring at the same time? And if so, they must have a common pathway.
Yeah.
Because here was obsessive compulsive disorder responding to a particular type of antidepressant, and not any other type of antidepressant. So there is a possibility that they coexist.
Okay.
And you know what? There are people who have problems with eating, bulimia, and it's like is a compulsion. We are talking about physical activities.
Yes.
It's a compulsion to eat and they eat and eat and they eat. There is a relationship between obsessive compulsive disorder and the bulimia. People are beginning to say there's an association. So, Pastor, what I'm trying to say is that there is so much we do not know.
Wow.
Okay. And the only way we think, what are the biomarkers? And a biomarker is basically genetic markers. Is there anything that is common about all of these? Is there a common genetic factor that is maybe located in certain part of the chromosomes? And if so, can we identify that? And if we can identify that, then at very early, because these biomarkers, you are born with them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You are born with them. So an infant who has just been born, you can take the blood or whatever tissue you want to take, and map is genetic makeup, and you can say this child is destined to develop this condition after so many years, maybe 3, 4, 5 years. This child who has just been born, or this child that you are carrying in the stomach, in the womb, you can get the fluids or whatever, and you can say this child is predestined
to this condition.
That may come many years to come.
Yeah.
Having said that, not everybody who has genetic markers for a certain condition and given a natural cause has the potential to develop a certain condition so many years later on. Not everybody who has got that biomarker will develop that condition. Because somewhere along the way there are things that happen that may modify the outcome of that trajectory. It's like you are firing a bullet from here. You want to hit this target, but several things can happen
in between.
So that's what I think. That's basically what the science is doing.
Okay. Unfortunately, our time is up for today. Thank you so much for being a part of Food for Thought with Professor Ndetey. As always, if there are topics you would want us to discuss, feel free to suggest them via SMS 20316 and WhatsApp 0786 316 316. Until next week, have a great weekend.
Food for Thought with Professor David Ndetey.
Thank you for watching. Remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can get notified whenever we upload new fresh content every day. Stay tuned and enjoy fresh, uplifting content.